Today, we're going to build some simple cornhole boards on Spenceley Design Co. So before we get started to build these, there are a couple things that you need to go to the home center and pick up. The first thing that you're going to need is 3 2x4s. Now these are 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches by 96 inches long. The second thing that you're going to need to pick up is some plywood. Now what I have here is called radiata pine plywood. You can get this in whole 4-foot by 8-foot sheets, but they also sell some project panels which are already cut down to 2-foot by 4-foot panels, and that'll be perfect for this project. However, if you do want to save a little bit of money, you can utilize the panel saw that Home Depot has and they'll cut everything down for you. Or you can just bring it home and cut it down yourself. So for the specific hardware for these, you're going to need to pick up 3 different things. 4 carriage bolts, 4 washers, and 4 wing nuts. Now down in the description below, we're going to have a full PDF plan that'll have colored diagrams and drawings of every single piece, as well as details about all the hardware that you need. So check that description down below if that's something you're interested in. Now let's get building. The first thing I started building was the frame. This will be made out of some 2x4 studs that we picked up from the home center. And to show how easy these boards are to build, we're going to use some really basic tools here. Just a simple saw like a circular saw is all that you need to cut the 2x4s, but a speed square like this blue one that we have here will help keep those cuts perfectly straight. Before I start cutting too many things and you have no idea what I'm actually doing, let's jump into SketchUp so you can visualize everything. So here's a sketch of the boards that we're going to make. From the underside, you can see that the construction is actually pretty simple. We just need 2 48-inch long green pieces on both sides, 2 21-inch long yellow pieces on both ends, 2 13-inch long pivoting legs, and then a 2-foot by 4-foot sheet of plywood on top. And hopefully that helps you kind of visualize the build, so let's jump back into it. Alright, so now that I've got all the 2x4 pieces cut down, we have 4 that are 48 inches long, 4 that are 21 inches long, and then 4 that are 13 inches long. And to start, we're going to grab the 13-inch pieces that make up the folding legs. To connect the legs to the frame, we need to mark out a hole, which we will come back to later. And we need some kind of curve to prevent the legs from jamming against the plywood board, so I just used this small roll of masking tape to trace out a curve. Now a bandsaw would definitely make cutting this curve super easy and quick, but a jigsaw works great too. But wait, hold on, let's explain why you actually need to make this curve really quick. So if you kept the ends square, you would not be able to pivot the legs since it would interfere with the plywood top. Now it might seem like a small detail, but in this case it's actually a really big one. Anyway, I'm definitely no artist when it comes to using the jigsaw, so I just sanded the edges down to get a nice, smooth, even curve. Next, I grabbed a 3/8 inch drill bit and drew out a hole that I marked earlier. And to prevent damaging my workbench, I set a scrap piece underneath, which will also prevent the wood from blowing out the backside. The last step for the folding legs is to cut a 30-degree angle on one end. This just makes sure the legs sit flat on the ground. Now you could definitely set your miter saw to 30 degrees and just cut that, but let me show you how to use this speed square. Simply hold the end marked pivot to the corner and rotate the speed square until the edge lines up with the angle that you want to cut, in this case 30 degrees. Then just mark a line and you've got a perfect 30-degree angle. A quick pass with a circular saw will get a great cut and finish all the work for the legs so that we can grab our other pieces and start building the frame. To help keep this joint here square, I clamped on these Rockler squares to ensure the pieces met up perfectly. I spread a little bit of wood glue on the end of the 21-inch long piece, and with everything clamped up, I pre-drilled some countersunk holes and drilled 2.5-inch screws to hold everything together. While I attach the other 48-inch long piece to the other side, I want to remind you to consider subscribing to our channel. We put out new project videos each and every week, and we would love to see you join our community. No pressure though, just enjoy the video. To attach the legs to the frame, I marked out another hole and drilled it out with a 3/8 inch drill bit. Now to attach the legs, I simply inserted the carriage bolt, tapped it all the way in place with a hammer, slid the leg onto the bolt, added a washer, and then threaded on the wing nut. And now you can see that those legs are freely able to swing out and hold the frame at the perfect angle for playing. Wait a second, let's pause for an honest moment. If you look closely, the curve that I made on the leg was not enough and is actually going to interfere with the plywood top. No problem though, I just took off the bolt and then trimmed it down a little bit. After dialing in the curves on all of the legs, I was ready to attach the plywood top. I first laid down a bead of wood glue and then set the plywood down on the base. With the panel placed exactly where I wanted it, I spent way too much time perfectly measuring out where all the screws needed to go and then pre-drilled some countersunk holes and then held the board down with some 1.5 inch screws. Now there are tons of ways to drill out the hole in the plywood, but I'm just going to use a jigsaw. After marking the center of the circle, I just used this metal ruler to draw a perfect 6-inch circle. And to start the jigsaw blade, I first drilled an entry hole and then just cut the circle out. The trick with the jigsaw here is to go really slow and concentrate on your line. And as a quick reminder, we do have full PDF step-by-step plans available that include all of these measurements and detailed drawings of this project. Just check that link down in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this project video so far, we'd really appreciate it if you'd consider hitting that like button down below. That one click really helps our small channel out, but like always, don't feel pressured. We're just happy that you're here. So we're now at the point of finishing the cornhole boards. Now you can paint any design that you want on this, maybe some vinyl decals, hand paint, anything you want. However, our client requested no paint job and just wanted a clear coat of polyurethane on top. So we're gonna add that and then we'll be done. While I lay down the polyurethane, I want to hear what kind of design you would put on your boards. So let us know down in the comments below. It was a lot of fun to change things up and work on a project that didn't really require a lot of precision. Now, this is something that most people should be able to accomplish in just an afternoon with limited tools and get them throwing bags in no time. If you want to support our channel, check out all the awesome rewards that we have over on our Patreon page, and if you're new to our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button in the middle. See you on the next one.